At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who the head coach of the Falcons is if they do not get the quarterback situation right. And Alex, we've talked about it a few times over the last several weeks that, 4 or 5, a couple months ago, maybe it looked like the Falcons were going to have their chance to get a Jaden Daniels, get one of these top quarterbacks, depending on their draft pick. Now they get in the 8th spot again. That now looks far-fetched because it looks like for sure it's going to go quarterback. I think we would all be shocked if it didn't. And then you look at the free agency thing. Baker Mayfield probably, I would assume, probably goes back to the Bucs. Kirk Cousins, do you really want to commit $90 million to him after an Achilles injury? And then it's like Justin Fields, or what are we talking about here? J.J. McCarthy and Desmond Ridder figuring it out, competing for the job. I mean, it's not, or Russell Wilson. I mean, I hate to be a Debbie Downer on the show at all times when it comes to the Falcons, but it does not look great.
The forecast on these things, as you sit here in the beginning of February, will look dynamically different as you sit here at the beginning of April, and then you sit there a week before the draft, right? Like, this stuff is so fluid, it always changes. You have a major move in free agency to go through. Look, there's only one way to address the quarterback position via the draft, and that is you go and get the guy you want as high as humanly possible, right? Like, there's no such thing as trading back for your quarterback of the future. That's not what happens. That's not a good philosophy, right? It's not like, hey, I'm going to wait to ask the third hottest girl to the prom on the off chance that she falls to me. No, like that's a bad philosophy to take during quarterbacks. As a Giants fan, I didn't like the Daniel Jones pick, but I at least agreed with the philosophy. The Giants picked at 6. He was there. He's available. Go get your guy as soon as you possibly can. So if the Falcons have designs on a quarterback and they want to move heaven and earth to go get one, then I support that. I don't care what you give up. Go get your guy, right? If you want a franchise quarterback, most of them come in the first round nowadays. That's what you want to do. I would love Kirk Cousins here. I'll always be a Kirk defender. I'm not here for Kirk Cousins bashing. All of you people who bashed him for years, you're idiots. You just don't know what you're watching. You could argue Kirk in that sense is very similar to Matt. Like, he may never have been the solution, but he was most definitively not the problem. And Kirk Cousins will not be the problem here if they don't win. So from that standpoint, I would support that. I think Wilson I'm a little bit more iffy on. I think there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. So I don't know what else they do, honestly. I mean, could they sit at 8 again or 10? Where are they drafting? I forget what number they're drafting.
They're drafting 8, and it looks like
drafting 8. That's weird.
Yeah, third. Yeah, it remarkably consistent. If I had to tell you though, you're talking about it. Let's say the Falcons fall in love with one of these prospects that's not the Jaden Daniels. Let's say they go quarterback. So you got McCarthy, Penix, and Bo Nix as basically your next tier of quarterbacks. And you're sitting there at 8, and let's say you do like a guy like McCarthy, you do like a guy. Which one of those 3? Because I think if you like one of them and you think they're going to go in the first round, you got to take them at 8, right? Like you just said.
I don't know if he's a first-round quarterback, but I would roll the dice on Penix. I know this particular scouting staff, at least when Arthur Smith was here, was very, very fond of Michael Penix. Medicals aside, I mean, look, there were medicals on Drew Brees that were bad. It's the reason why Nick Saban didn't stay in Miami and why the Dolphins were floundered for years and the Saints went on to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's that simple. So medicals be damned to a certain extent, but it's a roll of the dice. I'll say this much too when it comes to it. The Justin Fields thing. Here's what I won't wrap my head around. And although, in jest, I say it's the Falcons, so it shouldn't surprise me. If Terry Fontenot didn't think enough of him to draft him, why would he come back and get him now when there's not enough data points to say, hey, we got it wrong? Like, again, if you didn't ask the girl to the prom, why are you going to ask her to marry you? I mean, that's essentially the best analogy I can come up with. Like, if you wasn't good enough to draft him, then why is he good enough to take after 3 years of so then again, the Falcons had a chance to hire Raheem Morris 3 years ago.
Just about to say that.
And then brought him back. So it would kind of be on brand for them to bring back a guy that they didn't draft and had the opportunity to throw balls to a guy who doesn't really catch all that many.
Think about I know it's a little bit different because Deshaun Watson's obviously a higher prospect, but the hometown kid. I mean, Arthur Blank, we've seen him meddle in these decisions before. He's still involved. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're reporting to him. We know that Arthur Blank's still involved. I mean, does he meddle in this situation again and say, oh, Justin Fields, hometown kid, very similar? I mean, I'm just saying, like, oh, let's go get our guy. That's exciting. And trust me, you got to think about the other aspect of this. There's no butts in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It is a ghost town on Sundays. It's more like a church than a football game. And Justin Fields at least puts fans in seats. Now, it may not be a full stadium, but at least there'll be someone there watching.
I'm only going to say this to be a troll. Lamar Jackson would have put butts in seats.
Let's get off of that before I get riled up. I
said I was trolling.
But yesterday I said to Chase that, every team overdrafts a quarterback until he becomes a franchise guy. You remember that guy, Patrick Mahomes, when the Chiefs took him years ago? Everybody was like, you guys took that guy then? You traded up to get that guy? Everybody overdrafts a quarterback, unless it's the Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. Everybody gets that. But everybody ends up overdrafting a quarterback until he becomes the guy. So no matter who, if the Falcons take a guy at 8, it's going to be met with criticism. There's no doubt about that.
Let me add one more thing on the Justin Fields thing. If you continue to use the Shanahan-McVay tree, like, here's the thing. Brock Purdy, really accurate passer. Jordan Love, really accurate passer. Matt Stafford, really accurate passer. Do you use that phrase, really accurate passer, to describe Justin Fields?
No.
I mean, so the idea that people want him here, I don't know if it's a best fit for the scheme that Zach Robinson, a la Sean McVay, a la Kyle Shanahan, is going to run.
I could say the same thing about Russell Wilson. In an ideal world, you take a guy like J.J. McCarthy. To me, he's the most attractive. He's young. I don't think Michigan's offense accentuated what he did well. And then you also sign a guy like Kirk Cousins so that J.J. McCarthy actually has somebody to mentor him. I don't think you can draft J.J. McCarthy and expect him to do well immediately. I don't think you can do that with any of the guys outside of Caleb Williams or Drake May. That includes Jaden Daniels. I think signing a free agent and drafting a quarterback has got to be the avenue the Falcons take, because there isn't going to be an opportunity to find a day one starter in the draft.
I don't think that Desmond Ridder is off the roster next year.
Neither do I.
I mean, he's also not going to be the third quarter. He's not going to be Logan Woods.
That's fair.
So
he's a good backup. I mean, you've been saying it for weeks.
Here's the rub, guys, because we could literally be back right where we started. You take a look in the draft and he doesn't do well. What are we going back to? Desmond Ridder.
The GOAT. Hey, man. The Desmond Ridder stands are still alive, and they're still somehow kicking. I've been seeing them on Twitter. I don't know how they're still kicking. It's crazy. Coming up after the break, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're going to talk about Trae Young. How long is he going to remain in Atlanta?